Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has touched down in the US capital ahead of his first formal meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House tomorrow. The PM will be looking to shore up support for the AUKUS defence pact, which is currently undergoing a Pentagon review to ensure it complies with Mr Trump's America First agenda. To unpack this further, David Wroe is a senior fellow at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, and he joins us now. David, this meeting has been a long time coming. Security, defence and trade will be on the agenda. Can we expect anything else to come out of this meeting?
So the big speculation is around a critical minerals framework. That will likely be the deliverable. It does give a real kind of anchor to the meeting. I think that Anthony Albanese is going into this meeting as well positioned as he possibly can be under the circumstances. You know, we've been very committed to AUKUS and to the alliance. We've squeaked through that awkward period of criticism about the levels of Australian defence spending. That seems to have settled down now. And with this critical minerals deal potentially being signed, it's certainly in both countries' interests. Collaboration makes sense to both of our countries. So if Anthony Albanese goes in there, prosecutes our national interests with confidence, and explains and emphasises that these align with the US national interest and that Donald Trump will get some wins out of it, then it should be a pretty constructive meeting, I think.
Now, I'll get to the critical minerals shortly, but first, PM Albanese will be looking to lock down the United States' commitment to AUKUS. Considering Mr Trump's America First agenda, do you think it'll happen in this meeting?
Look, I think the review that is underway will probably take a little bit longer. Now, I think they have to go through that process. Most close defence watchers, since this was announced, have felt that the submarine element of the AUKUS partnership is probably pretty safe. The main reason is that it's overwhelmingly in the United States' interests. You know, Australia is putting considerable investment into US defence industrial capacity. We're buying the submarines. You know, it's a significant price tag. Donald Trump has said that he wants to sell stuff to the rest of the world. Well, how does $368 billion worth of submarines sound? You know, the US has a pretty healthy trade surplus with Australia today. Imagine what that's going to look like in 2045 or so. It will make us a more capable ally in the Indo-Pacific region as we try to sort of, constrain the more assertive elements of China's dominance over the region. That's overwhelmingly in the US interest, so it makes sense for them.
Well, let's look into that further, because Australia has been enjoying some diplomatic success in the Indo-Pacific region. Could Albanese play that card with Trump, considering China's growing presence in especially the Pacific?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to strike a careful balance, I think, there. You know, they've put a lot of effort into stabilising the relationship with China. I think it's quite possible to make, sort of constructive agreements with the United States on specific issues without having to necessarily, kick the Chinese around with overinflated rhetoric. It's quite possible to do those two things. You know, we should be able to make decisions in our own interest in ways that don't offend the Chinese and don't upset the relationship. I do think the episode today or yesterday with the flares being fired across the path of the P-8 surveillance plane of Australia's was not a great indication. I don't think that was a coincidence at all. I think that was very much Beijing saying to Australia, don't link arms with the United States and make this a China bashing exercise, because, remember, you have put a lot of effort into the stabilisation of the relationship, and we can unwind that pretty quickly, and we will use these sorts of tactics if we have to.
Just one more on relationships, David. Do you think reaffirming the Quad alliance will be discussed? And just for our viewers, the Quad comprises of Australia, the US, Japan and India, especially considering the tensions earlier this year between Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Look, I hope so. It may. Look, I imagine they will discuss it. I recognise, as you point out, that India is a bit of a sticking point at the moment. The next Quad leaders meeting is due to be held in Delhi, and it's a little difficult to imagine Donald Trump travelling to Delhi at this point to take part in that meeting. So, look, I really hope that the Quad is revived, that it does get back on track, and that the US and India find their way through this rocky patch that they're going through. I don't imagine it's going to be a massive part of the sort of public speaking after this meeting, though.
Now let's go back to those critical minerals. China recently tightened its grip on the global supply of the elements needed to build everything from batteries, cars and missiles. Australia has these critical minerals and rare earths. Does this give Australia the upper hand when it comes to trade negotiations?
Not the upper hand exactly, because we both need things from each other. Yes, we have reserves in considerable quantities, but we don't have the capital to actually build the projects, both to extract and refine the rare earths and critical minerals so that they can be used in all of the things that they're needed for, from, famously smartphones through to F-35 fighters. In fact, I read, I think yesterday, that the Virginia-class submarine, which we would be acquiring under the second stage of the AUKUS program, actually has 4 tons of critical minerals in it. That's just in one submarine. So that gives you an idea about how important they are. But yeah, we each need things from each other. So the likely outcome will be some kind of framework in which the US invests in projects here, possibly in equity forms, and they guarantee to buy certain quantities from out of those projects with a floor price in place to ensure that the projects are viable. So it will be very much a kind of a mutually beneficial agreement, but it's not one, I think, in which we would want to sort of presume that we have some sort of negotiating leverage. We definitely need things from the Americans as well.
So in saying that, do you think it's enough for a potential tariff exemption, perhaps?
I don't think so. I think the floor tariffs, unfortunately, of 10% are here to stay. Look, from everything I hear, Kevin Rudd has been doing indefatigable and remarkable work over there, trying to sort of get the best he can out of the Americans. But I reckon that one is one that we're stuck with. We're at least at the lower end of it. Look, it's still a travesty from our point of view, but I'm afraid that's not going away.
David Wroe, thank you for your time.
No worries, Johnson.